Hi, it's Takuki here, and today I wanted to talk about top 5 reasons why I think that most beginner artists aren't seeing results and are having trouble comprehending doing certain things. It can be really discouraging when you're practicing something for a long time and you're just not getting it. It can seem like no matter how many tutorials you watch or how many different references you look at, you just can't draw it the same way you imagine it in your head, or at least be able to practice a certain pose or draw a certain object or expression or aspect of art. So the first big reason major reason here is I feel like a lot of tutorials skip over the absolute basics. As I've become a more seasoned artist within the past sorry, I'm sick. As I've become a more seasoned artist within the past 5 years, I noticed a lot of tutorials are more easier for me to follow and comprehend. But this definitely was not the case a couple years ago when I was finally starting to design my own characters and make my own story. And so I'd seek out many different types of tutorials with different techniques and approaches. But for some reason it just seemed to not click with me. While I'd get the technique down, I still didn't understand how to put a pose together or accomplish whatever it was I wished to. And in retrospect, I see now that a lot of these tutorials did not mention that these are way easier to follow, comprehend, and accomplish if you already understand the basics. While this seems pretty basic, it took me years to get to be able to draw this so comfortably. I already know where certain aspects of the human body fit in, therefore I don't include them in my rough sketch. But it might not take you that long. This is just the current way that I construct poses. There's many different types of ways to do it, and you might find the way that's comfortable for you, or you might just understand certain things sooner than I did. I've done it different ways throughout the years, and I just like this one the best. I'm sure you've seen tutorials that look something like this to a degree, where simply they tell you to put a circle here, a block there, maybe foreshorten here, and you have your pose. However, in many people's cases, it's only possible for them to apply this and change it however their brain comprehends it the best, only after they're comfortable with certain aspects of anatomy and its functions. When I make tutorials, I try to break it down as simply as I can and explain each process of it, which a lot of tutorial videos and pictures do, and for the sake of discussion, let's just say that we're drawing an animal or a human. While I notice that they're often aimed at beginners, they do often tackle more advanced options. So what do you guys think about that? Anyone who's more experienced of an artist, let me know what you think. Did you struggle with the same thing when you were younger? The second big reason is that I feel like people don't use enough references sometimes. And I forget to do that too very often, but recently I've been doing it and I've seen some personal improvement in a pretty short time. Reason number 3 is somewhat similar to number 2, and that's you're not getting enough inspiration from outside sources. I know these might sound the same at first, but I'm really talking about taking different inspiration from certain art styles that you love or media, and following people if you're old enough, on Twitter, Instagram, etc. Once I started uploading my webcomic online, I started becoming way more active in the art community than I was before. It's just a really fun environment to be in. You find yourself relating to many different people there and different things that they experience as well as you do. Even if you're not old enough or probably shouldn't be on social media, you can interact with other people that are also artists around you, or if you're older and you just don't have the time, social media is a good place. Depending on your job, maybe you can find some people that have certain interests that are the same as you. It might not specifically be art, but it could be writing. And even just taking different trips outside and observing your environment will give you a lot of inspiration. So I'm basically telling you to touch grass. Fourth reason is I think a lot of people are honestly afraid to step out of their comfort zone. There's really no shame in drawing the same thing every day, but you would definitely improve if you took more risk with your art. Maybe you want to try painting or traditional art if you're a digital artist and vice versa. I know as someone who does about 70 to 65% digital art, the fact that there weren't any layers, backspaces, or any tool that you could possibly imagine, that was pretty intimidating at first. It made me a little bit scared to try traditional art again, but once I started doing it and got over my initial fears, it was actually really fun. It allowed me to rely less on technology to work on art wherever I am, gave me some new inspiration with the limitations that came with traditional art, and sometimes it's just nice to have a physical representation of your improvement. As a traditional artist, you might be intimidated by the many different features and apps, and many different tools to your disposal. But I promise that you'll pick it up in no time. I recommend Autodesk Sketchbook, which I use personally, like, most of the time, pretty much all the time. And on a side note, I want to mention that you should also try different apps if you're already a digital artist. The second app I would recommend is IBS Paint, I believe it's called. Procreate, you've already heard about Procreate. Autodesk and IBS Paint are just free ones that I would recommend. There's a lot of different apps out there on iOS and Android that you can choose from. Number 4 is that you're lacking constructive criticism and or advice. In the art community, it's mostly understood universally that if someone doesn't ask for constructive criticism, you don't give it. But I'm sure that many artists would be happy to help you if you simply ask for some advice. That could be from someone in real life or someone online. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your art style, and I know a lot of aspects that in beginner artists, they might feel like someone is criticizing part of their art style, when in reality they might be criticizing a part of the art style that they could fix and still retain the art style that they wish to have. This is just for example because it's way easier to show you than to tell you. Let's say this is my drawing, by the way, that I made for this video, in case you might think it's a random person's drawing. It's not. If I saw this drawing and someone asked me for feedback because they felt like something was a little wrong about their drawing, maybe I'd mention that the neck is a little too long. But they might feel like that's part of their art style. As I mentioned in the first reason, sometimes you can't learn to exaggerate certain body parts until you already have the basics down. So I'd probably mention for them to do that rather than say that they need to change their art style. This is just something I notice beginner artists do tend to misunderstand when more experienced artists give them criticism sometimes. That it's not that we're trying to change your art style, it's telling you to change your art style. We're just trying to help you get there. And maybe the artist that you're asking didn't phrase it correctly. So when someone's giving you criticism, it's good to keep an open mind and realize that they might be trying to help you. But it's also important to be able to spot criticism versus constructive criticism. If you want me to make a video on that, let me know, because I'd be more than happy to. Definitely don't be embarrassed to share your art. While you might not think it's aesthetically pleasing, a lot of artists also understand that there's way more to art than simply aesthetics. The concepts and emotions that one is trying to convey are equally important, intriguing, and impressive. And lastly, it could just be that you haven't actually been trying to learn new things. And this last idea pretty much combines everything that I've said in this video. So you might not be improving as much as you would like to over a year because you haven't been seeking out different ways to improve. This includes trying new things and having a deeper understanding of things that you're already good at. So, you might be good at drawing expressions, but do you know why you're good at it? Not necessarily why are you good at art, but what makes the expression good. That's something that you should know. And it would be more helpful if you could explain to other artists who aren't quite there yet. If you want to stick around for bloopers at the end, there are some of those, so watch it till the end. If you did like this video, leave a like and tell me what you thought about some of the things I said. I'd be happy to listen and maybe I can learn a thing or two. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you like this type of content, subscribe to me. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have an awesome time until then. And it made me not want to dove. As a traditional artist, you might be intimidated and many different tools. Okay. I need a break. And apps to your what? No, that's not what I said. And tools to your I just can't get it right. To the tools to your what? Disposure. I honestly forgot what tip I'm on. I'm sorry. I think this is the 4th one. But note to self, this is number 4. So really, it's whatever's best for you. It might be some obscure. So just keep in mind and give some people if you did envy